Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bricks and Dragons. Today we are looking at the Stinger Starfighter. This is the S-100 Stinger class Starfighter and was a single-seat fighter produced by Corellian Engineering Corporation before, during, and after the Great Sith War of 3997 BBY. Measuring at 11.5 meters long, the hyperdrive-equipped craft was used by the Jedi Order and the Navy of the Galactic Republic, and civilian purchase as well, armed with laser cannons and torpedo launchers, proton torpedo launchers, that is, and minimally shielded. The S-100 was considered lightly armed, but was said to be or set to make up for it with good defensive shortcomings, or let's say this again, but was said to make up for its defensive shortcomings with its high speed and maneuverability superior to most other starfighters of its time. Despite the introduction of other craft, the Stinger remained the mainstay of the Jedi who used it in conflicts against the Krath during the Sith War and afterwards until the introduction of the Auric tactical strike fighter before the Mandalorian Wars of 3976 BBY. Even then, the fighter remained in production and was preferred by planetary defense forces. All right, its characteristics show that the Corellian Engineering Corporation Stinger class starfighter, being at 11.5 meters long, um, it was a single seat craft with only about 30 kilograms worth of storage capacity. Stingers nonetheless carried Class 2 hyperdrives. The fighters design consisted of a long, narrow primary hull. I don't know who did the picture of this. All credit should go to them. Um, in the book that I'm using to get us started on all this, I have no picture to go off of. I don't know. So this is their interpretation of all this, which does make some very good sense. Um, let's see, housing the cockpit, from which sprouted two outriggers, each of which held one of the craft's engines and a vertical fin ending in a laser cannon. So it does go up, and we have the small laser cannon on top there. The laser cannons were augmented by two proton torpedo launchers with a magazine of four torpedoes each. This armament was considered light according to the standards of the time, as the Starfighter's deflector shields, although they were more than a match for the Kraith CX-133 Chaos fighters, their stock weapons could not compare to other Republic starfighters. However, their light defensive capabilities were more than made up for in agility. Stingers were capable of speeds up to 100 or 1,150 kilometers per hour in the atmosphere and were considered among the most maneuverable vessels in the galaxy, being able to turn very quickly in a skilled pilot's controls. The role, um, in its heyday during the Great Sith War, it was a popular fighter for nearly a century before newer craft with greater power to mass ratios capable of better speeds with more armor were developed because of their light armament off the manufacturing line. The Republic authorized the S-100 with stock armament for civilian purchase, although their value depreciated considerably between the time of the Great Sith War and the Mandalorian Wars. Nonetheless, the Stinger was considered the starfighter of choice by many Jedi until the release of the Auric tactical strike fighter. Despite the development of the Star Saber, prior to that point, following the Sith War, the fighter was popular among planetary defense forces. Um, For its history, having been in production by Corellian Engineering Corporation for some years by the time of the Craft Holy Crusade, the S-100 Stinger class starfighter were in use by the Galactic Republic as well as the Jedi Order. Many of the pilots which found it to be to their preferred starfighter of the time. The Stingers were also available for civilian purchase. Due to their light stock armament, although fighters and transports were thought to be preferred by civilians due to the minimum protection and limited utility of the fighter, and were priced at roughly about 465,000 credits off the line. While members of the Jedi Order, based on the Jedi Library world of Orisis, prepared for a raid on the Krath capital of Signar, the Empress Tila system, Jedi pilots were testing new Star Saber starfighters, which had been engineered by the Republic for the Krath conflict. Finding the Star Saber to be sluggish in relation to the controls of the tried and true Stinger fighters, and suffered from the loss of one Star Saber in test flights due to control issues, the Jedi were leery of immediately putting the craft into battle. Jedi Knight Shuneb Kuluth, or I'm gonna murder this. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Claimed she'd prefer to pilot her little Stinger, however, as there were not enough S-100 fighters in Orisis to be used as escort for the Ordian Warbeast transport stated in the conflict of the raid. Jedi Knight Daeth, having both served as a test pilot on the new craft, elected to fly a Star Saber on that mission. Um, let's see. I think behind the scenes here, um, here we are, and this is what I thought it was. Okay, the Star Singer or the Stinger, the S-100 class starfighter, first appeared in the comic issue Tales of the Jedi: Dark Lords of the Sith, Part 6, part of the Dark Lords of the Sith story arc in Tales of the Jedi comic series, which is where I kind of thought all this was. It was from a comic series. Um, so I don't know why I can't find any comic pictures of this, but there have to be some out there. This was a simple search I did. This is the first picture I was able to come up with. So this is what I'm running with here. Um, and were originally drawn by the Tales of the Jedi penciler Art Wetherill. The craft appeared alongside the Star Saber, as well as two other starfighters, flown by Osis Willem and Tat Dantia, which had similar design elements to the Stinger, but different configurations. However, the comic only referred to the fighters in the battle as Star Sabers and Stingers. The Stinger class starfighter was also featured in the Dark Lords of the Sith audio drama. So, um, if you want to get into some of this stuff, some people have read some of this stuff. Having an audio drama of it is wonderful. I know as I don't have a lot of time trying to read a lot of the books that I really wish I would have been able to read when I was growing up. Um, I've picked up audiobooks. The good and the bad of a lot of this is, yes, you can get some of these older audiobooks. The bad part is a lot of them are abridged, which I didn't really fully understand that. So for those that are in the know, if you have an abridged version of a book, it is a very condensed version of it. If it is the full audiobook, then you have everything that the writer had written out. So it does change your experience with that book. With the abridged books, quite often there are some small There are elements in the story that whoever bridges it says that it's not very important for the story, but it does add the extra characterization of the characters in the book, opens up more dynamic goings ons in the background. So um, it's good to get just the base idea of what's going on, but unfortunately, you do lose some of the extra flavor that's there. So, looking at the Stinger here, we're going to go through our stats. So, again, it's an Old Republic ship, so if you throw it into a New Republic era or somewhere else, you're probably going to find it used, I would say, probably at a tenth of the price, maybe, you know, something old and beat up like this, and I would probably consider it that way. Maybe give it a times two hyperdrive or something like that because it broke down. Somebody just slapped in something cheap. Um, Whatever. Um, but if you're going to try and play it in this time frame, I would keep it at its regular price. So it starts off with a hyperdrive of a times one. We have one jump, so in other words, you're going to where you're going. There is no return jump. You would actually have to have a chip or something that you're using to actually plug in to have a second jump done for its return. Maneuverability is a 3D plus 2, so it is a very maneuverable fighter. Space of 9, so it is very, very quick, very speedy here at keeping up with our Star Saber at 1,150 kilometers an hour. Our hull is 3D and our shields is 2D, so it is a pretty decent hull. It's not the greatest. It is a little bit more robust being at 3D. Shields being 2D is very impressive. Um, our sensors, we have a passive of 25, so that's 2.5 kilometers out. Scan is going 5 kilometers out. Search is 7.5 kilometers out, and our focus is 300 meters. So we have two assault laser cannons. So this is doing a huge amount of damage at 8D. That is very respectable. We do have two proton torpedo launchers. So we have 4 missiles in each launcher, and they're doing 9 damage, 9D damage. So um, we have a very powerful ship. If you were to throw this out here, I would, looking at the damage of the weapons and all that and the shields, if I was going to throw this in a later, I might want to keep that value up there a little bit more. Maybe make it, 31,000 or something like that. Not overly cheap because these are some pretty powerful weapons. If you're playing with the price here and you're giving it to the characters as a starter ship or something like that, those are things you might want to think about. So, again, a simplistic design. If you're trying to put it into some other game, you could easily modify it one way or the other. So, and you know where I'm going with this. I've said it in the other ones. So, um, you can have a love for whatever system it is, but being able to say, I would love to have this in this system or that in that system. It's our imagination, our worlds, our galaxies that we get to create. So, as a game master myself, and I am forever the game master, because I'm the silly one that gets the books, and the guys say, we got to end up doing Fallout. So, and I'm doing a little bit of the Star Trek from Modiphius because it's using the same system. But to sit here and say you can grab from somewhere else to add in and throw it in from, maybe it is a planetary defense fighter from some small planet or whatever. So there's always something out there that we could use. So with that, thank you for visiting. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and we'll see you in the next video.